All right. Everyone, I'm Evelyn Prim, the Communications Coordinator for the City of Montpelier, and I'm here today with Assistant City Manager Kelly Murphy. And Kelly's going to be running through the FY25 proposed budget for the administrative services here in the City of Montpelier. So I'm going to share our screen and we will get going.
Okay, so I'm going to take it from here. So thank you everyone for tuning in to this video of the FY25 presentation of the administrative services divisions of the City of Montpelier. Those departments are the City Manager's Office, the Clerk's Office, Human Resources, Finance, Technology, and the Assessor. So real quick, we're going to go through a quick agenda of what I plan to cover in this video. So first, we're going to do an introduction of the team. Then we're going to get into core services in FY25. We're going to talk a little bit about services and constraints. We'll talk about the budget, challenges and opportunities, and the strategic plan, and then follow up with sort of the list of things for what's next in the process for budget development. And so I also want to mention here that the guidelines for this budget were to implement the strategic plan, continued investment in infrastructure, to deliver responsible services, and to stay within the 3.2% inflation or CPI. And so as we're going through here, this is the City Manager's Office team, as you can see pictured there. The City Manager, William Fraser, myself, Kelly Murphy, the Assistant City Manager, the department heads in between, and then we've got Mary Smith, who is the Assistant to the City Manager, the Communications Coordinator, who is Evelyn Prim, the Sustainabilities Coordinator, who is Chris Lumbra, and then we also have Tanya Chambers pictured here, who is our Human Resources Director and is also listed on a future slide. So looking at the city manager's budget, the total budget is $701,403, and it's an up of $39,424. What that is comprised of is primarily non-leadership staff, personnel costs, and legal increases, as well as some training increases. Moving on to the clerk's office, here pictured is Clerk John Odom and his deputy, Sarah McMullen. Their budget saw virtually no increase year over year. There were minor shifts between advertising and other purchase services. Moving into finance and then human resources, as I mentioned earlier, is on this org chart. So the director of finance is Sarah LaCroix. The treasurer is Charlotte Hoyt. The accounting project manager is Todd Preventure. The senior staff accountant is Heather Graves. The accounting clerk is Crystal Lamel, and the project coordinator is Serena Baker. Within this budget, you can see it's a slight down. There have been some shifts in personnel costs that are attributable to this change. Their total budget is $768,435, and the down that I just mentioned is $14,365. And into technology services, which is also housed under the finance department. There's a slight up here. The total budget is $409,265 with an up of $13,000, which is attributable to our managed service contract with VC3. And so moving on into the assessor's office, we have Marty Lagerstedt, who is our contracted assessor, and the assessor's administrative assistant, Jane Aldergetty. So their budget is $203,154, a total increase of $6,859, and these are primarily due to increases associated with the assessor's contract and personnel. And so moving on into core services, I'm going to take a minute just to get into the core services that the administrative services departments are responsible for. But I also want to note that in the city manager's budget, the communications coordinator and sustainability coordinator are included. And then also, as you'll see in future slides, or as you may look at in other departments, the real theme with this budget is continuing to invest in infrastructure. And so for core services for the city manager's office, the city manager's office is primarily charged with managing the city's affairs, leading the departments, working on the budget, the purchasing agent, administering the personnel plan, enforcing codes, ordinances, more ensuring that ordinances are enforced, and then also the hiring and firing of staff. The clerk's office is responsible for the administration of elections, land records, vital records, marriages, business, and dog licenses. They coordinate the Civil Board of Authority and Abatement, and is also the secretary to the council. The finance department is charged with payroll, accounting, budget, and IT operations. And then the assessor's office keeps fair and equal property values in accordance with Vermont state law, and also maintains those records and provides coordination with other outside entities such as the Department of Tax. So here in this next slide, we get into services and constraints. And so we have had some cuts within the administrative services departments. And so they are as follows. The Invisio strategic planning software was eliminated, $15,000 to $0. The city page with the Montpelier Bridge is proposed to be eliminated, saving $14,000 annually. We're foregoing the National Citizen Survey, $25,000 down to $0. That survey provides us with data to help support our strategic plan through benchmarking with other communities nationwide. And then the last bullet I have here is that there will be a reduction or staff savings of $65,000 to be identified by July 1st. Other items not on this slide that I do want to mention that are citywide is that the homelessness task force is booked at $17,500, which is down from $45,000. The housing task force is down to $50,000 from $110 and $24, and it's lower than the $250,000 ask in this budget cycle. The Montpelier Energy Advisory Committee is also booked at $2,000, which is lower than their ask of $12,000. And then just a few other cuts just to highlight. The economic development line item has been reduced from $100,000 to $0. The GMT My Ride went from 40 to 0. Public arts from 10 to 0, 10,000 that is, and 40,000 conversely. And then the Social Economic and Justice Advisory Committee had $10,000 in the budget. It's now 0. The committee stipends were $20,000 in last year's budget in FY24, and is now 0. And then the outside lobbying firm line item was $15,000 and has been zeroed out. So there are some pretty significant cuts here. So with that, it's pretty clear that there will be challenges in this budget, and we're tasked with finding $1.259 million to cut to come into target of CPI. We also are working within a constrained environment to maintain adequate services within this budget. And so this is largely due to increased costs and delays. And then the budget has been impacted by rescission or revenue loss due to the flood. And then we're also working towards flood recovery. So with that all being said, there are still some silver linings. This is an opportunity to do a hard reset of the budget and really evaluate core services and where the taxpayer money is invested. And so based on a variety of sources, but mostly by council, strategic plan, and the survey, this budget is reflective of an investment in infrastructure. And so what that means is that we've met the $2.4 million target in the capital plan, which is up $246,500 in FY25 over FY24, or an 11% increase. It includes $658,232 in paving. And so we are making that investment because that's where the priority is at this point. We are also going to focus on leveraging state and federal dollars. So next here, we've got the strategic plan, which helps inform how we spend our money. And so the most important piece here is the build and maintain sustainable infrastructure. And so I wanted to give a few examples of each of these items and what would be included as strategies to get this work done. So with infrastructure, we're focused on rebuilding from the flood, addressing major infrastructure needs, as well as emerging infrastructure needs. For housing, which is the next item in this plan, we are working on developing housing policy that will reflect the city's priorities. We're also working to partner with housing partners on projects and then support private development. And so on the third item, to rebuild and plan for future resiliency in the face of climate change, we are looking to implement flood resiliency initiatives. We're working on our net zero energy policies and plans, and we are also working on environmental improvements. And so in the other two categories here, the next one is to improve community prosperity for residents and local businesses. And here we're really focused on supporting the health of the downtown. And then to improve public health and safety for all, we're really focused on making resources available for the unhoused population. And then we'll also be working on enhancing emergency preparedness. So here's the final slide of this presentation. This is the timeline of the FY25 budget process. And so as it stands, we've had 2 meetings related to the budget. So we presented the budget to council on December 13th. We had a meeting on December 20th as sort of a workshop. We will have an additional meeting on January 3rd for council to work through the budget. And then we have public hearings on January 10th and 24th. And then we need to make a final decision on January 25th. So that the budget can be warned for town meeting on the March ballot. Town meeting day is March 5th. And so that's when voting will happen. If you have any questions, please let us know. You can reach out to the city manager's office, or you can contact me directly, Kelly Murphy. My email is kmurphy@montpelier-bt.org. Thanks so much.